that you went into another room to speak alone to the accused. What was the content of that conversation?
Well, Bryant asked me if I would accept a drink to forget the whole thing.
That didn't mean a cordial, did it?
No, my lord, it's villain slang, meaning will you accept a bribe of some kind, usually money.
And what did you say to that?
I opened the bedroom door and called Sergeant Fisher in. Then I asked Bryant to repeat what he'd just asked me in front of the sergeant.
And did he?
No, he went berserk, my lord. Shouting, screaming obscenities. Then he struck me rather a heavy blow in the face with his fist. Fortunately, Sergeant Harris and I managed to restrain him after a while. But it was a job that wasn't helped by the fact that Mrs. Bryant started screaming and swearing and tried to stop us from restraining her husband.
It was that animal there who hit her.
Bryant, control yourself. If you consistently ignore my rulings, I shall be forced to stop you by other means.
My lord, he's trying to involve my wife in...
Do as I say.
With respect, my lord, it is I who is supposed to be cross-examining a witness.
And so you shall. But it is I who am in control of this court, not you. I was simply trying to expedite matters and to clarify Inspector Collins's version of what happened. Very well. You may now continue.
I'm much obliged, my lord. I don't suppose there's much point now in trying to refute your elaborate fantasy, Spectre. After all, if you're believed, I can only go to jail for God knows how many years. But I deny categorically that I offered you a bribe. Not because I don't think you wouldn't take it, but because I'm innocent. And as for your distortion about my going berserk, I was simply trying to stop you and your sergeant from forcibly taking me to the police station without formally arresting me. And it was my wife and me who got the thumps, not you. However, there is one little item that the jury might be interested in. It's not the first time you've arrested me, is it, Inspector?
No.
No, in fact, only 15 months ago you tried to do exactly what you've succeeded in doing here. Get me indicted on false and fabricated evidence.
You were a prime suspect in a robbery. I simply questioned you about it. That's my job.
Prime suspect? Did you arrest me?
You were held for questioning.
I was held, all right. Incommunicado in a cell for 3 days. Now, that was against the law for a start. But then I was a known villain, and by your reasoning, didn't have the normal rights of an ordinary citizen. Your superior told you to release me because he realised there was no evidence against me whatever, and that you were simply holding a personal vendetta against me on your part. And that was when, Inspector, you decided to get me. Isn't that true?
No.
Didn't you take me in 15 months ago and question me in a cell for 3 days?
Yes, but
no more questions of this witness, my lord.
Inspector Collins, do you agree that a senior police officer should be truthful?
Of necessity, yes.
Honest?
Yes.
Accurate?
Yes.
Fair?
Yes.
And without bias?
Oh, certainly, sir.
And should he always be careful in his choice of words and emphasis?
Absolutely.
Should he be, in short, fearless, firm and fair?
Fearless, definitely. Fair, definitely.
And firm?
Well, firmness goes with that, I suppose. But they are the two essentials of a criminal investigation officer.
And have you always displayed these characteristics?
I think my past record in the police force would support that, sir.
Thank you, Inspector. I have no more questions of this witness, my lord.
My lord,
What is it?
I understand that we have now reached the point at which I may address the jury in the matter of my character.
The point of no return, as you might say, Mr. Bryant.
I'm well aware of the consequences of the decision, my lord.
Very well.
My lord, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, now throughout the trial so far, you've probably noticed his lordship refer obliquely to matters of character. Now, I'm sure you're aware this refers to my character, good or bad, and that of the witnesses. Now, putting your character in issue, as it's called, means that you allow your character to be openly questioned in court. Now, in my experience, and in the experience of others I've questioned on this, the legal profession have this reply. Don't attack the police. Say you did something like it. Deny anything that has a tendency to show a guilty answer. But, as far as you can, don't make any suggestions that the police are telling lies. If you do, and you're a man with previous convictions, you're challenging their character, and they will immediately read out your convictions in court. Now, this is what my counsel told me. Well, part of my defence is that the police are telling lies and have in fact conspired to fabricate evidence against me for reasons that I hope to make clear later. My counsel didn't want me to take this approach. They never do. But I do because it's the truth. Now that's why I sacked her. So I'm telling you now, members of the jury, I have a record of criminal offences. Quite a few, and some of them quite serious. I've been convicted more than once, and I've been to prison. Well, now you know. And since you do know, members of the jury, I hope that you will not let that prejudice your decision when it comes to reaching a verdict. All I ask is that you listen to the evidence and the witnesses and judge me on that alone. Thank you.
My lord, in my submission, the speech which the accused has just made ought to be construed as a question to Inspector Collins about the accused character. And the inspector ought to be given the opportunity of replying to that question.
Yes, Mr. Logan, we may as well have it now. I must say it is a peculiarly long and appalling record, Mr. Logan.
Indeed it is, my lord, but I'll try to be brief.
If you would.
The defendant's first conviction as an adult was in June 1958, when he was sentenced to Borstal training, from where he absconded in October of the same year. He was arrested in November 1958 and sentenced to imprisonment for offences whilst at large, and was returned to Borstal training. Since December 1959, he has served 8 terms of imprisonment and was last released in September 1970. Between March 1952 and April 1966, he has been convicted on 14 different occasions for store breaking, larceny, attempted breaking, taking motor vehicles without the owner's consent, unlawful possession, receiving, assault on the police, robbery. Shall I read the whole list out, my lord?
No, I think that is sufficient for anyone to gauge his character, Mr. Logan.
Well, is that right, Inspector? Are those antecedents which I just read out correct?
Yes, my lord.
For my next witness, my lord, I would like to call Sergeant Fisher.
Very well.
Sergeant Fisher, please.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I should give this court and jury should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Sergeant Harold Fisher, Fulchester CID.
Sergeant, is it correct that Bryant, albeit reluctantly, gave you and Inspector Collins permission to search his house?
Yes, sir.
And the inspector wasn't with you when you searched the kitchen, was he?
No, sir, we split up to search. It was quicker that way. I searched the kitchen, bathroom, toilet, and one of the bedrooms, the child, sir.
And did Mrs. Bryant accompany you at all times?
She did, sir.
Did she complain about your methods of searching?
No, sir.
No. And did you find anything of interest in the search?
Yes, sir, in the kitchen, hidden away at the back of a cupboard, I found a bottle of ammonia, sir.
Yes. Could the witness please see Exhibit 1, please? Is that the bottle, Sergeant?
Yes, sir, that's it.
Did Mrs. Bryant give any explanation as to why she had the ammonia?
Well, she didn't at first, sir.
Did she suggest that you planted it?
Oh, no, sir, no. Now, when I pressed her, she said she used it for cleaning.
For cleaning? For cleaning what?
Oh, various things, you know. Floor, tiles, bathroom, things like that.
Did you ask her if her husband ever used it for anything?
Yes, I did. She said he didn't. I then asked her if her husband knew she had the ammonia. She said she didn't know, but probably not, as he wasn't concerned with what she bought in the way of ordinary household goods, sir.
I believe you've had the bottle examined forensically.
Yes, sir.
And the results of that examination? There will be expert evidence on this, my lord.
It was found to be undiluted ammonia, sir. And Bryant's fingerprints were also on the bottle.
Did you confront Bryant with the bottle of ammonia?
Yes, I did, sir.
And what did he say?
Just trying to fit me up.
Fit me up.
Yes, my lord, it's underworld slang meaning to fabricate evidence.
I see.
And were you trying to fit him up, Sergeant?
Well, certainly not, sir.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Bryant?
Sergeant, do you know what the verbal is?
Verbal?
Yes.
I think so.
You only think so? Well, I would have thought from the testimony that you and Inspector Collins have given, you are both experts on underworld slang.
Well, naturally, we're both quite conversant with it. I mean, it's part of our job, isn't it?
So, you know exactly what is meant when someone says, they put the verbals on me.
Who put the verbals on who?
Oh, come on, Sergeant. If a villain says it, he can only be referring to the police, isn't that so?
Well, not necessarily.
But more than likely.
Well, perhaps.
The verbal, as it's called, members of the jury, means putting words into people's mouths they never said, or twisting the meaning by taking words they have said and repeating them out of context. The police are experts at it.
Mr. Bryant, please. You will disregard that last and completely insupportable generalization about the police.
Is it not a fact, Sergeant, that convictions against policemen for offences including brutality, theft, conspiracy and perjury have shown an alarming increase in recent years?
You may disregard that question, Sergeant Fisher.
There have been a few isolated cases which have resulted in a policeman being convicted of certain crimes, but these are the exceptions, not the rule. Far from it.
Unlike your immediate superior, Inspector Collins, your attitude after my arrest was reasonable, Sergeant. I mean, you didn't show the obsessive signs that you were out to get me at any price like he did. But surely you're subject to the same pressures as most professions.
I don't know what you mean.
Well, I mean, you have to do what your boss tells you.
No, I do my duty, my job.
Well, your duty is to protect the innocent as well as apprehend the guilty.
I'd hardly call you an innocent. But that is what I do to the best of my ability.
Sergeant Fisher, I deplore such comments coming from the police. I must tell you I will not tolerate it.
Yes, madam.
Well, I'm sure you do your best on most occasions, Sergeant. But it's a little strange, isn't it, how your version of what took place in my house is so exactly similar in every detail to that of your boss.
I don't see it so strange, considering it's what took place.
That little notebook you've got there that all policemen carry to refresh their memories, the notes in there concerning me. Now, did you write them up separately, or did you compare them with the notes that Inspector Collins made? My lord, tell Inspector Collins not to make signals to the witness.
Were you making signals, Inspector?
Certainly not, my lord.
Answer the question, Sergeant, and turn away from Inspector Collins.
I wrote up my notes separately, my lord.
Separately, Sergeant?
Yes.
Well, isn't it a remarkable coincidence that you've both selected exactly the same incidents and bits of verbal to record?
It's what you said, not verbal.
That's not what I asked, Sergeant.
No, it's not such a coincidence. It may appear to be selected, but not in the way you suggest. It's just that it would be impracticable to record everything a suspect says. I mean, an interrogation can take place over several days. It's part of our training as police officers to select those bits which are most relevant, that's all.
You mean the incriminating bits?
Not necessarily.
And if nothing incriminating is said and there's no real evidence, you'll invent a few lines.
No, I do not do that.
Sergeant, have I or have I not protested my innocence from the very outset of this case?
Yes, I suppose you have.
Well, then doesn't it follow that as a man of considerable experience in avoiding incriminating myself for the police, I'd be very careful not to say anything that would incriminate me?
That is convenient, Mr. Bryant.
Perhaps you're not as clever as you'd think.
Well, I may not be very clever, Sergeant, but I know the difference between coincidence and collusion. Thank you very much. No more questions, my lord.
The last witness for the prosecution, my lord, is Inspector Woolley. Inspector Woolley, please.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give this court and jury shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Inspector Arnold Woolley, fingerprint officer, attached to Fulchester CID.
How long have you served in the fingerprint branch, Inspector Woolley?
17 years.
And have you ever known prints not to conform to a sequence of ridge patterns?
Never.
How many characteristics of a fingerprint are needed for certain identification?
Well, 8 is about the minimum, satisfactory, you might say. 10 is good, 18 beyond any doubt.
So you're saying there is no doubt that the accused's fingerprints are on that bottle of ammonia found in his house?
No doubt at all.
Thank you, Inspector.
No questions, my lord.
Thank you, Inspector. You may stand down.
That concludes the case for the Crown, my lord.
Thank you, Mr. Dealey. Mr. Bryant, you may now present your case in defence.
My lord, I'd like to call my wife, Mrs. Pauline Bryant.
The case of the Queen versus Bryant will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court.